Good evening, everyone. I know, right? It is evening. I can't believe the day has already passed us so very quickly. As I committed to, nourishment and nurturance. So how's the nourishment going? Good? I knew we hit a home run when I saw a lot of bowls of sundae. We had a lot of bowls. So I can't tell you how happy I am and pleased I am to end our day together today with a tremendous panel of family. I have the honor of introducing our Chief of Family and Community Engagement. Where is she? Oh, there she is. Our own Kim Engelman. Dr. Engelman is the Chief of Family and Community Engagement at Child Care Aware of America. And she is and has been with us now for 2 years. You may have noted Kim's photo on the video that was showed earlier. She has been an advocate for a number of years and did a tremendous job as a family advocate on behalf of her daughter Lexi and the passage of Lexi's Law right here in Kansas, or a couple of blocks from Kansas, I should say. So yes, absolutely, absolutely. So Kim has 20 years of experience in the public health, outreach, research, and education arena, as well as over 10 years as an ardent local and national family advocate for high-quality child care. As the Chief of Family and Community Engagement at CCAOA, Kim strategizes and directs and really pumps us up in a lot of ways, national initiatives on behalf of families, focused on building mutually respected and respectful relationships between families and their communities to unite and enhance family well-being and lifelong success of our nation's children. She has a particular lens and brings a particularly strong lens around childcare and childcare settings. She also leads a growing and vibrant family engagement advisory team of families and professionals from around the country who are also committed to bring family and professional stakeholder voices together to the forefront of family engagement and early care and education policy discussions. I also want to introduce a member of Kim's and our Child Care Aware of America team, April Dodge Ostendorf. Where's April? There she is, wave. April is a family engagement specialist at Child Care Aware of America, and she coordinates the Family Voices Quality Choices Initiative, which merges traditional and digital outreach and engagement strategies to reach consumers with critical information about early learning and child care and bring family voices to the forefront of conversation. There is a dynamic duo to the left and right here, and both local to the Kansas-Missouri area. I'll just say it in that way. They're both fantastic. We are so fortunate to have April and Kim as part of the Child Care Aware of America family, and I know that they're going to provide for you, as well as these wonderful individuals to my left, a fabulous closing to the day. So please join me in welcoming Kim and April and our parent panel.
Well, it's so great to see everyone here still at the end of the day. We know that we're sitting in between you and dinner and your plans for this evening, but this is something that you will not want to miss. So we did save the best. Sorry. Anyone else who presented today, my colleagues from Child Care Aware of America, we saved the best for last right here for you. So I'm so pleased to be able to share with you these wonderful family members who live right here in the Kansas City area. We have something, and some of you, like Kansas table over there, you've heard this from me before, but we have something really special in the Kansas City metro area with our CCR and our partners at the Family Conservancy and all the amazing work that they're doing on the Children's Learning Campus there. And then also throughout the state of Kansas. Now, I'm a little biased because I'm in Kansas, but April, where's April? She is in Missouri, however, Missouri. So, but we do make a great team, and we're so proud to be able to represent Child Care Aware of America right here in our metro, and work with our great CCR and our not only here in the metro area, but across Kansas. Child Care Aware of Kansas, based out of Salina, Kansas, was right pretty much in the middle of the state, down I-70, a lot farther actually, a few hours, and then all of the CCR and our tentacles that reach out into our state. So we work very closely with them. And at any rate, we have this amazing culture of improvement and trying to constantly and continually looking at our child care system and figuring out how it is that we might be able to make it just that much a little bit better, right? And our family engagement has traditionally been in Kansas very strong. And it started out actually in part by, I don't want to embarrass you, Liddell, but I met Liddell in 2006, and we met at a child care system, state systems improvement team. And she was instrumental in, and also in her role with the board president, Child Care Aware of America at the time, in elevating the family voices in the child care system. And so I owe a debt of gratitude to Liddell for, and her team too, for bringing the families along in Kansas. It's really been fantastic, and it's really snowballed. Yeah. It's really snowballed into this wonderful grassroots effort in this Midwest area. So I am pleased to share with you these precious women who are sitting up here. And I'll go through these introductions, and then what we'll do is April will come up, and she will be asking some questions, and we're going to flip the tables today, right? So normally you're doing the teaching, the instruction, and the outreach. Well, this time, families are going to be teaching you a thing or two, and it's going to be really pretty great what they have to share with you about what family and community engagement means to them and what they need from you as professionals. So we're going to flip the script here a little bit. So we're starting out to my left here, Sheena Caldwell. And Sheena, like many other single parents, balances full-time employment with the sole responsibility of raising her young daughter. And Sheena found her voice for childcare after realizing the urban community where she lived lacked the quality early learning and childcare opportunities that she desired. So she's going to share some more about that. Priscilla Purnell, right next to Sheena, greets her role also as a single mother to two precious little girls who you see in the photo here on the screen, ages 2 and 3, with boldness, determination, and perseverance. And we actually met for the first time face-to-face today, but we've talked on the phone, and she, just like all of these panelists, she is remarkable. The things that these families balance is unbelievable, and then they do volunteer work and study for big highfalutin tests and things like that, just on the side when they have their free time, right? So she's going to share a little bit about the different child care settings that she has had experience with, and she's happy now to have found a program that matches her desire for a loving, dual language, English, Spanish, and faith-based child care center. So those are things that she values quite a bit, and she's going to share about that with you. And then we've got Sasha. Right here in the middle, and Sasha is a vocal champion for working families everywhere. She's a busy mother of 4, as you can see in the photo here, a big Chiefs fan, their family is. And she credits her children's early learning program and their wraparound services for helping her entire family move closer to meeting their goals for educational success and economic stability. And Sasha serves with Paula and Dean. Where are they? Paula's right here. The Family Conservancy as a parent representative on various committees that advance early learning and equity in the Kansas City area. So in her free time, right? Goodness. And Tara here. Tara was thrust into the role of child care advocate when her son was born with a rare medical condition. She had child care all set up. She had done early planning, and her plans were abruptly derailed when her child care provider said that they were not going to be able to care for her son. They weren't able to accommodate her son's needs. So back to square one, right? And yeah. So she's currently expecting her second child. Yay. And she wants all families to have access to high-quality, engaging child care providers who are skilled at partnering with families to meet a range of unique needs. And then last but certainly not least, we've got Nee Tran. She's a first-generation American raising her 7-month-old son alongside her partner, Nick, who hoped to be here today, but child care challenges made it so that he had to be home with their son. They're in a dual language, Vietnamese English family, and they find high-quality child care they found a high-quality child care program that matched Nick's Methodist faith and that had strong family engagement practices. So Nee is able to meet her responsibilities as a licensed master social worker who works to resettle refugees, right? Wow, no small feat there. With the ease of knowing that her son is safe and enjoys a high-quality child care setting with small teacher-to-infant ratios and degreed staff. So they're going to share April, if you wouldn't mind coming up, they're going to share their experiences with you today. We're going to ask, April will be asking some questions. We are going to leave some time at the end for you all to ask questions of them. If you wouldn't mind writing down and saving your questions to the end, we think that will make this work a little bit easier. So enjoy. April, take it away.
All right. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me all right? Thumbs up? All right, fantastic. So like Kim said, I'm going to spend a little bit of time kind of helping to bring out their stories a little bit more. They're going to share some of the things that they really value about their child care programs and their, some information about their experiences. And then at the end, kind of be thinking as you hear those things, ways that are some questions you might have for them that might help kind of inform your programs back in each of your states. So I'm a big believer in early wins, right? Like in some early congratulations. So I would like everybody to know that these ladies have been filming with me. They've been providing their personal stories in front of video cameras all day long. And I think they deserve a round of applause. Just for that. So we hope that's kind of dusted off the nerves a little bit as we kind of roll into these questions here. So, all right, so we know that every parent really wants to feel confident about their child care choices. So Tara, can you tell us a little bit about your child care search and the suggestions you'd make to other parents who want to make the most informed choices for their children?
Good evening, guys. Can you hear me? Yes. Our search was very much, we had an entire plan. Everybody likes to be a planner when they find out that they're expecting a child. And so we had an entire plan for our son from the day I found out I was pregnant until a week before he was supposed to enroll in preschool at 1 year old. And the preschool that I had originally planned for him to attend was unable to meet, he has special needs, and so they were unable to meet his needs as far as his developmental delays. So my entire plan, for those of you who don't do well with change, it changed. And it was not at all the journey that I expected for him. So we had to go back to square one, and we had to start all over and literally had about a week to make new plans for the school year to start and from when my employer expected me to be back into working full-time. We live here in Kansas City, and we're very blessed to have some really amazing resources here. So we found a preschool that works to accommodate children with special needs, and they're actually a partner with our local CCR&R, the Family Conservancy. And so between our preschool and the Family Conservancy, they were able to help us make new plans that better accommodated our son in the long run and ended up being a much better placement for him. So my advice is to families who have it set in stone that things are going to go one way. Sometimes that doesn't happen, and help to support them to know that change is okay, and it might actually be a better placement for the child and for the family that you're serving. I know for us, I wouldn't have the relationship I have with the Family Conservancy if it wasn't for those changes of plans.
Great, and I've had an opportunity to get to know every one of our panelists, and I can definitely say the Family Conservancy has done a lot to continue informing your choices and your decisions in child care. So, if you'd pass the mic to Nee. We've talked, as we've been talking today and kind of leading up to this event, we've talked about all the things that have to go into a family's decision. And one of those things that has really stood out is, how do you select those qualities? Like, what is it that's important to families in their child care providers that kind of help you make that decision? So, Nee, if you'd share with us what qualities you looked for when locating your child care provider.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I think when you look anywhere for anything, right, there's the basics. And I think with childcare, it was does it fit in your budget? How is the security and safety there? The hours, how far is it from home? But then when you go through those doors, it's what attracts you to that place, and you want to stay there or you want to enroll your child there. And it was the way they set it up, and the ratio to infant was 2 teachers to 3 infants, and the max is 6. And each child gets their own crib. And those are things that are small and they're very important to me because I feel like they are reflective of what I do at home. My son's name is Nash, so he gets his own private crib, and it just seems to me like it's important that what we do at home kind of rolls over to what we do at the child care. And also, what attracted me to them was that they really promote that everybody there has a bachelor's degree. And it's not important that they have the degree, but to me it shows that dedication of obtaining something takes such hard work, that they're dedicated to taking care of the children there. And we wanted, really important to my now fiance, that it was rooted in Methodist, because his family has a long history of Methodist, and that's their core belief. So, and we want to begin going to church there, so it was like a long-term thing. We had this short-term, but also long-term, like to get involved with the community, to get involved with the church, and we live really close to the Kansas side, and eventually we want to move to Kansas. So things like that, little things that you do now that would later impact you. I also felt that it was important that they made me feel involved in my child's daily activities, that they promote good development to ensure that when I'm away and I'm working, that the things that I'm missing out, that Nash still gets that. And somehow, at the end of the day, it comes back to me. And I think those are the things that are important to me. I think there's a lot of other things, right? But, yeah, so.
All right, thank you, Nee. So I'd like to see what additions you might have to make for that, Priscilla. That was something that was really important to you, too, in our early discussions, are those qualities.
Buenas tardes, good evening. As my introduction language was very important in finding a daycare for my children. At first it wasn't. At first it was how you can stimulate my child who was 8 weeks old. You got to make him the smartest kid out of the class. However, with that comes cost. And eventually, my child no longer was a single child, or I had one right after the other. So cost became an issue, and I had to start finding daycare. But to take it back a little bit further, I come from a Hispanic background, and it's very natural for us to not put them in daycare at all. It's very custom for us to put them in with our family, our grandparents. Even if they're 90 years old, they're going to take care of our kids. And I didn't have that opportunity because my family is of the education. You got to go to school. If not, you have to be of some profession, and I'm grateful for that. However, finding daycare for my kids was difficult after I had to make the transition because of cost. And so my kids, we went through 4 different daycares to finally find one, and my aspect of finding a daycare changed completely when I became a single mom. I no longer could be the loving, nurturing mother of part-time stay-at-home mom with them. So I had to find, sorry, that's personal, it's very personal. I had to find somebody that would love my children as much as I love my children, and that would share my culture, my language, my beliefs. And so finding the daycare that they are now, it's in the inner city. You would not think to put your kids in a inner city school daycare because, one, the education, to be honest with you, it's not, the teachers are not with a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. But I found that they loved and poured on my girls, on any and everybody else. As soon as you walk in that door, they're welcomed with, hola, buenos dias, good morning, how are you? And they're nurturing and they're loving, and it's home for them. They have home-cooked meals. They have rice and beans, stuff we have at home. And they pray before every meal, and they take naps. And I might not have the log of when they went to sleep, when they went to the restroom, when they ate. I might not have that, and my 2-year-old might not know their ABCs yet. But the fact that my kids are loved, and they're teaching them my values and my family's values and their father's values, that was very important in finding it, even if it's in the inner city. And I think they're able to assimilate to different cultures, and that's what I enjoyed about my adventure in finding a daycare for my 2 girls.
So Sheena's kind of shared the flip side of that with me. And in fact, as she was kind of reflecting on qualities, she kind of said, it's not just about what qualities I looked for in my provider, but I also found it important for my provider to consider my qualities during my search. So Sheena, I'd love for you to tell this group and describe for them what you wanted your provider to know about your family.
Thank you all for having me. Can I go back just a bit?
Yes, please, yes.
And talk about before I became a mother, I was a guardian to my niece and nephew. And at one point, I had 5 of my niece and nephews. And this lasted for about 5 years before I had my daughter. But what I found was childcare and the search and the priority list that I had with my niece and nephew was different than with my own child. I would say before I had my own daughter, I love you. I love you guys like as if you were my own. But it really is a difference when you do have your own. And so, as far as the qualities that I was looking for with my child's daycare, was what I wanted them to know. First of all, was that I wanted them to know her, and as far as she's only 2, and as far as what she is, she's me, she's her family at this point. So what I thought was very important is that they get to know her family, and that is something that, is a theme, or it's incorporated into their learning. And so having, like the family tree or some kind of a display of pictures of the family, the pets even, I found that to be great for her to come in and see, you know, this is her home away from home. I mean, really. And so I thought that was really important as far as the diversity of just, you know, everyone really in her class, you know, has a different home makeup. And so I really wanted them to get to know her family, get to know us, and also just, you know, being always there to help. I think for me, I don't get to really talk that much with her actual teacher, but the director and I there at her center, we have a really good relationship. And, you know, it's, hey, can I help you with anything? You know, what's going on? Really just building that trusting relationship with her to say, hey, you know what? I'm kind of short this week. I mean, honestly, you know, can I just double up next week, you know? And her being, okay, you know, being always willing to help in whatever way possible. So really it's you know, them wanting to know about my child's, her family, them knowing about our household, and then actually building that relationship with the parents. And not all the time it could be the teachers, but actually the director there is really important to be able to have those really personal conversations sometimes that you wouldn't feel comfortable having if you didn't have that relationship. So.
Thank you, Sheena. You can pass the microphone to Sasha. She's going to be our next speaker. So all of you have really talked about ways your providers have kind of connected with you and respected and honored your family. So Sasha, can you give us some examples of how your child's care provider has really promoted the idea that you're your child's first and best teacher?
Good evening, you guys. At my child care center, how they promote and I guess keep me as number one in my kid's life is Parent Connect. We have it fall and spring, and they're therapeutic self-care groups. Some are involved with the kids, some are without the kids. The one I like the most is 2.0 because it's all adults and it's all about relationships, and it's unscriptured, raw tall, and we talk about literally everything. And some of the bougiest people are just like me. Seriously. And in that group is where we started that relationship, because half of them I would have never spoke to outside of that group. But after that group, here's my new friend, and now we have kids, and our kids are friends, and you know, our parenting style may not be 100% the same, but girl, I feel you. So I think that's the number one thing. Parent Connect.
Great, thank you, Sasha. Would you pass it down to Nee? So Nee, can you talk with us a little bit about what your child care provider has done to make you feel included in your child's day when you're away from them at work?
So a lot like Priscilla, I think with the Asian culture and families, you know, it's like the grandparents, the moms, and the aunts, someone to watch them. But my parents live out of town, and it was important for me to want to stay home with him for 6 months or a year. But as a social worker, I had to go back in 10 weeks. So I felt like what was it that they could do to offer me, which was one thing that attracted to me, was that they have an app that is called Preschool to Me, and you can see daily activities of what your kid's doing, what time he goes to the restroom, what he's been eating, how much did he drink of that bottle, did he need diaper cream. Those are little things, but to me that's important, and that's why I really like our child care. And at the end of the day, the report says Nash's memorable moment, and it talks about what he did today. And I really like that they call him by his name, and they talk about the other students by their name. So to me, it's like they're a small family, like this little village of little cute kiddos, and they're learning every day. But I get to be a part of that because I get to know what's going on. And talk about what kind of sensory motor things that they've done that day. Like they play with a soft blanket, or he hit a bell, or they go swinging outside. That stuff is important to me because when I'm not at home, I know that he's getting to learn those things. And also, what else did I put? Sorry. And they also encouraged me, and they were really flexible, that I can stop by any time to see him, and that I was nursing in the beginning, so I can stop by and nurse him anytime. And I actually never started that because I did not want to build a habit. And yeah, so the routine that we keep at the childcare and at home is very similar, and that was really important to me because I want him to sleep 8 to 10 hours, right? So yeah, and yeah.
All right, you can pass it right on down to Priscilla. And you've heard a lot of really warm and encouraging things, right, about their experiences with their child care providers. But we know that's not always the reality. Do I hear gasps and shock, right? So in talking with Priscilla, this isn't even a question. I actually asked her on the phone. We were kind of wrapping up, kind of talking about what are you passionate about sharing with others? Like, what do you want to share with this wonderful group? And, so we wrap up our conversation. At the end, she goes, sometimes there's challenges. Are you going to ask me about those? And, I had really tried to be strength-based. And so here's kind of how we kind of worked this out, right? So she's going to share with you how open communication can really help families overcome challenges, and she's going to share an experience about that with you all.
Well, as she said, there are challenges in the daycare along with your own children sometimes. However, I experienced on two occasions, one of the teachers of my youngest spank a student. And for us as Hispanic, it's natural to give your child a spanking. However, to me, don't you ever touch my child, because I would drop hell for you. But I didn't say it in those words. I thought it all in my mind, I promise. However, and that afternoon, my 3-year-old, she was still in that 2-year-old age, and she's like, "Mommy, the teacher spanked me in my booty." And I said, "What did she do?" "She spanked me." And I was hurt, because not only did I witness her spanking another child, but I witnessed my daughter came to me. And so I was able to pray about it, first of all, go to the director and the higher director and say, "This is what I witnessed. This is what my child told me as well." And there's great communication between them two and myself, that she not only said, "Okay, let's observe this, let's talk to her." Well, it happened again. I witnessed it. It happened twice. One time, okay. 2 times, not so much. And so I went to the director again. I said, "Were you guys able to talk to her?" And they did, and they came back to me and said, "Okay, what do you think?" Because I have experience working with students. I was a teacher before. And so she asked me, what can we do to better communicate with the teacher, and what behavior or what challenges can we do to give the teacher, or what can we change her in a position that you would think fit your child along with other children? And so I was glad to give my opinion. I didn't tell her that I observed that she used to be a nurse and back in her country, and so maybe she could be the physical education teacher, or she's a great cook. Maybe we could lead her in trying to making lunches, not so much in the classroom sometimes. Or she's older, so I said, how about you change her for the morning shift instead of the later evening shifts, when you know she's being stressed out between the hours of 4 until 6:30. And they took those opinions and those with open hands. And they put it into action after they spoke and to discuss. They put it into action. And I was proud that, one, they listened, that they didn't say, oh, it's just another nagging parent. But two, that they were open to my ideas and making it change and making it better for my child, for the other children, and for the parents.
Great. We pass it on to Tara. All right. So we've heard a lot about how important it is to have a voice in your child's care, providers, setting. And so Tara is going to share a little bit about kind of like unifying those voices of the parents and how important it has been to be able to connect with other parents in her child's care setting.
Hello again. The role of a parent in a parent with a child with disabilities or with special needs can be very lonely. A lot of times you can feel very isolated and like nobody understands. And that's a position that my husband and I were in for the first probably 12 months of having our son. His diagnosis is one of 60 in the world, so we literally would probably very rarely meet anybody that has a child like ours. And so when we found the preschool that he's at, while we didn't find anybody with our son's specific diagnosis, we found families with children that were similar or had gone through similar journeys. While there, they have allowed the families to have a parent committee on site, and we meet monthly. It's both a support group and an opportunity for parents to help be involved with the planning and the decisions that affect the school. We include the staff, the preschool director, and the therapy manager to come to the meetings. They're allowed to share updates with the families, and then we act as the voice. I'm the chairperson. I have a vice chair, a secretary, and a vice secretary. And we act as the voice for the families that either can't attend or don't feel comfortable attending those meetings or just can't. Together, we have grown from having like 4 parents attend to anywhere from 12 to 20. We offer monthly meetings where families know that they can come and get support, share resources. We opened up our meetings to the site that my son attends has an outpatient therapy program as well. And so those families feel even more isolated because they're not in the preschool setting. So they come, they do an outpatient clinic therapy for an hour or 2, and then they leave. So we open those meetings up to those families as well. And they're now able to come and feel as though they have support from other families. The interesting thing is it's not just families with special needs that attend these meetings. Parents with typical children have their children attend this preschool as well. And then families who have multiple children, one may have special needs and others may be typical. They enroll their children there so that their siblings of the children with special needs understand that the sibling at home is not different, that they're all included. So it's a very special program model that is very inclusive. So we opened it up to outpatient families as well, and those families are sometimes more ambitious because they feel more isolated. So some of those families have started support groups, and we help to promote those in the community, and we all build each other up to really make sure that the voice of the families, just like Priscilla said, is being heard both in the environment of the school and in the community as a whole. We help with policies regarding school calendars, what's going to be best for the families. We help with decisions on programs and how to roll that out and how that's best going to affect families. And we just try to really give them a sounding board. If there's an issue amongst staff and staff doesn't always feel comfortable going to their boss and saying, this is my issue, but sometimes, you get there to pick your kid up late and somebody might just slip of the tongue, I'm frustrated, or, it just comes out, you become friendly with these staff members and parents and you just vent to each other. And so parents will come back and they'll say, they won't call out the staff member, but they'll say, we know that the organizational team is having a struggle with this area, and it allows for us to advocate for the team that's supporting our children as well. Those teachers are raising our kids. My son is at that school 40 to 45 hours a week, 30 of which is in therapy. They get all his first moments. The staff turnover rate is crucial to keep that down because my son doesn't get to know you easily. It's taken him 2 years just to get to know his parents. So, and that's the same for any child. So by helping the staff be a voice for them as well, to the directors and to the administration that runs the school, I think we've helped to keep turnover lower and help the staff feel equally as supported. So by engaging with other parents, we've just become kind of a little force to be reckoned with. I know one therapist was thinking about quitting a year ago, and when we found out, we sent a group email to all the staff. We had 40 parents show up and speak out. So parent engagement and supporting the organization that's raising your children, they are your family. You guys are our family. I mean, whoever's working with our children, we're all one unit, and it's important that we all really work together and make everybody feel everybody's voice feel equally heard.
Thank you, Tara. So you're going to hear a little bit of a theme here from our next panelist. Also has quite a bit of love for her child's care provider. You can pass it on over to Sasha. And she's going to share with you what she has really valued most about her child care experience. You can say it in here. The thing that's been off limits for the video cameras, you can say it in here.
So my child care center is Operation Breakthrough, and yeah, it's bomb.com. It's everything in one building, and when I mean everything in one building, everything in one building, from the family support, the food stamp office is in our building, Children's Mercy is in our building. Truman Medical is in our building, the therapy department. We have a food pantry, a clothes closet, a birthday closet. I think you name it, we have it there. We even have tubs. It's the truth. But I really love my center. It's really, I mean, if there was a tornado, we could live there. It's just the next thing to my family. Yeah.
So Sasha has had a hard time today. She's been sharing a lot about what makes her provider so great, but she hasn't been allowed to say the name on camera, so she's been dying to say it here. So for the next bit, before we kind of get to some questions from the audience, I wanted to start with Sheena and just kind of go down the line and share with us what family engagement means to you.
Family engagement means, honestly, I think because I speak for a lot of working moms, and I think most of us are working moms up here, engagement can, honestly, during the drop-off and the pickup, there's not really much time there. But for me, it's just finding those moments. I know that my center, I appreciate that they do engage us by having, they find ways, they find just corners of, oh, here's some cookies and coffee for you on your way in or on your way out, or here's a photo booth, take photo booth day for, as you're dropping off your child, to find that moment to engage me and my child, finding that moment, because life is really hectic. It really is. And so it is hard, and I get that a lot of times, how do you find the way to engage? That is a challenge. But really finding those moments and those little nuggets of time and being creative as well, I think it's really important to find those moments.
Well, like I said, it was very important to find something that was home for my girls. My girls call their teachers mama, abuelita, mom and grandma. And at first it was shocking to hear them call them that because I'm mom and my mom is their grandma, but it's home. And like I said before, as soon as you walk in that door, you're greeted by the teachers. You're greeted by other kids running to you and saying hello and giving each other hugs to my little girls. And it's home. I don't get to spend time with them like I used to. And when I get there, I'm able to know what they've done. The technology is not there yet. I hope one day that it's there in the inner city as just as much as it is outside in the suburban areas. But I'll get a Facebook video sometimes and say, your daughter is doing this, or your daughter is needing some diapers, and I'll be able to go and take them diapers. And the best thing is, like she said, mornings are hectic. You go in and out. But afternoons, I make it a point. Daycare closes at 6. I get there about 5:15. I leave at 6. Why? Because I spend the time with both my girls' teachers. What did they do? How many diapers were changed? What did they eat? What did they do throughout the day? What letter did we learn today? What color did we learn today? And as a single mom, there's challenges in how to be both mom and dad, and how to do behavior-wise, how to teach you how to be better parents for your girls, for my girls. And I'm able to talk to the teachers and say, what's your experience? Or has my daughter acted this way here? Can you tell me what you're doing here so that I can do it at home? Or how can we work together so that we can build them and stimulate them in behavior? And so I enjoy that, again, that culture and that home base. It's their home away from home.
Family engagement to me is being able to talk to my kids' teacher like they're my sister or my brother. There's a couple of males. Family engagement to me is being able to trust my daycare provider, child care provider, before and after care provider with my kids, and know even when it's hard for them to tell me the truth, they still tell me the truth. Yep.
Family engagement for us has a lot of meanings in our family. We have the standards of, we need a note every day that tells us, did our son have a BM? Did he go to the bathroom? What did he eat? We have to count his calories. So those notes that we get every day are incredibly important. As I mentioned earlier, the school gets a lot of our sons first. And so in the beginning, that was really hard for me to think that some therapist was going to see my son take steps or crawl or do anything before I'll ever get to see it. But they're excellent at sending me videos of everything he does. In fact, right before we started this panel, I got a video I shared with Sasha of him on a little roller coaster at the school hanging on as they push him and he goes down all by himself. They have done things for their it's Ability KC here in Kansas City, and I also think it's the best. They did a photo shoot and a video documentary of several of the families who attend there. They brought us in, they had us feel like movie stars. Now our children's pictures are going in the walls that line the school. It's a beautiful, I mean, it makes me cry just that he's on a billboard here for them. This little boy who may never walk or talk is larger than life in the city. If you drive by Gates at 32nd and Main, you'll see our family up there. And I tell everybody, you know, it's AJ. We're just there to support him or hold him or whatever. So family engagement is the way that they make me feel included in all his firsts, even though they're the ones experiencing them. It also, you know, I have no background in therapy. My husband has no background in therapy. A lot of things about raising children comes instinctually until you have a child with significant special needs. So the way that they approach us and allow us to come do observations, both present and behind the scenes, to see how to operate his devices, how to best utilize his special equipment. I told him on Monday that I'd like to come in on Friday, or I'd like to schedule to come in and see how they use some of this new equipment that he's received so that I know better how to utilize it at home. And by Friday now, tomorrow, we have an appointment to come in for 2 hours and observe and work with the team to best learn how to meet his needs at home. He only gets about 4 or 5 hours at home where he's awake, but still we want to make the most of that time. And so their sensitivity to our situation and our lack of knowledge, and their willingness to educate us to be the parent, the mother, the father, and the therapist at home, and not judging that doesn't come instinctually. All of those things really help support our family engagement and how we feel as a family unit.
So family engagement to me, I thought a lot about this because I got an opportunity, and I thought I'm kind of like letters and alphabets, so I think of, and as a social worker, there's like terms, so I think of 3 C's: communication, commitment, and connection. And all that wraps around is trust and relationship. So communication, not just on social media or on an app, but continuously, every day in the morning when I drop him off, there's a different set of teachers, and the afternoon is another set of different teachers. And how they continue to be very proactive and very immediate to my concerns. Like one day I picked up Nash and I saw that we bought 3 bottles, but there were 2 bottles that were still empty, so that there was still water in them, but there was no formula. So I was really concerned, and I thought that they had forgotten about him, which they did, and I think it can be chaotic, right? I mean, I forget on the weekends sometimes to feed him, and he was not being cranky, or he wasn't really showing signs of being hunger, but they were understanding to my concern, but we were able to communicate in a way that was respectful, but always, in a way to find a solution. And they're really good, but as a first-time mom, I think that was the 3rd week, so I got really worried, and I was kind of paranoid, but I got over that, and I think that's that trust part. I get to trust them, but they have to also trust me. And then with commitment, I think that's a dedication. I think everyone here is dedicated to something, the work you guys do, your children, your family. And I feel like as dedicated childcare providers, they know what to do. They know what to provide my child from morning to afternoon, how to take care of him, how to keep him amused, and how to, just everything. It's just really important. And connection. I love to talk to people at a personal level. How was your weekend? How many children do you have? I feel like I get to know a little bit more about my care providers every day, and they get to know about me too. So that connection goes beyond just the child care setting. It's like if I were to see them outside, I feel like more like a personal level, not just a professional, but I'm the parent, they're the professional, and together we're like partners. So I just think family engagement there at our child care center, they are really good promoters, and they implement things and very strength-based. And I also want to mention that they offer 2 teachers and parents conference a year, 2 parent workshops. There's one coming up in November, how to say no to your child. This is going to be interesting. And they have really fun activities. They have monthly kind of newsletters. They tell you a fire truck is going to come, a snow cone. The older kids get to go to a pumpkin patch. They do fundraisers so that we have that funding for the kids to do that. So we feel really involved. They had Grandparents' Day, muffins with mom. I missed that. And then donuts with dad. Like little things like that engage us as parents with the staff, but also with other parents and other children. Because I feel like if my fiance and I stay in the area, that this would be our church for the next 10 years. This would be the kids that my Nash will grow up with, and this would be the relationship and friendships he built. So I think that family engagement initially is so important, and it's going to impact them in the long term, and them, me, and how they can improve. So yeah, that's why I think family engagement is just important, period. So.
All right. So kind of back to that early win. Let's give them an initial round of applause. So our department being family and community engagement, we love the opportunities that we get like this to really elevate their voices. But we also want it to really connect and have meaning to the work that you do. And this is your opportunity to ask them questions and connect their experiences to kind of things that you have going on in your CCR&Rs or things that you maybe have considered implementing. Ask away, because this is a very forthcoming group, and they have a lot of really great ideas. And I would say, in fact, I've asked them all, and they have said really nothing is off limits to them. So this is your opportunity. I believe we have a mic in the audience. Fitzgerald has it. So if you raise your hand, I will. We'll get the mic over to you. So who's got a question?
Hi. Thank you, ladies, so much for being here. You guys are amazing and inspirational, and thank you for this is hard to do, sharing your story with such a large group, so we really, really appreciate hearing from you. Several of you came to Washington, D.C. and advocated for last April. What I think one of our challenges is getting families to share their experiences with lawmakers. I think it's intimidating sometimes. It's, it's hard because you have a full-time job and, balancing work, life, school, kids, all of it, to even get the time to do advocacy. But you guys took the plunge, a lot of you did, and jumped on a plane and didn't know what to expect. What made you kind of cross over and do that and be so brave? So I'd love to hear that.
So Sasha, you have to kick that off. You have to kick that off with the taking the plunge, what that meant for you.
Getting on the plane.
First plane ride ever.
When they said, do you want to go to Washington, D.C. to advocate for child care? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. But then she said I had to get on a plane, and I said, oh, this is real. Then another lady named Mia called me and said, I'm booking your flight and your hotel. And I said, oh, this is really happening. And then I was there, and I was like, oh, if I turn around, they're going to be mad at me. But I got on the plane, and when I got to Washington, D.C., I didn't even have to have alcohol. I had so much courage. I'm so serious. If that day I could have met Donald Trump, he would have been like, never bring her here again. Because I wanted to speak to all of them. Like, mentally, I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And ever since then, all I can talk about is being the mayor of Kansas City, Missouri. So... it was honestly the best experience of 2017 for me. I have not stopped talking about it. And I got mad.
Hey, Sasha, that's saying a lot because she just got married last weekend. So don't share this online.
I remember that a little more, though. But it absolutely was. And it was a reality check for me. Basically what I tell my job, because they always say, why do I work here? Because I do potholes. I work for the city of Kansas City, and I do potholes. They always ask me every morning, why do you work here? And I'd be like, it's just something to do until I become the mayor of Kansas City. And I'm serious, like going to Washington, D.C. confirmed that. It confirmed that I need to be in some form of politics, whether that's the council members, whether that's the school board, something that has to do with change, and it's unfiltered. It has to be something that I can say, hey, I've went through this is what I see better, let's do it together, or I can do it without you, but I'm gonna get it done.
Right. I live in Kansas City. She gets my vote. Sasha, or I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sheena.
Oh, wow. That was great. I forgot. Yes, you get my vote too, Sasha. But I would say it would have to be for me, what motivated me to take that plunge was really, it was Kim and it was April. These two ladies are fabulous. They are really fabulous. You guys are. Because it did take some additional emails and additional calls, but but they're just so professional and just so passionate, and they really made the experience just great, and just give me that opportunity to lend my voice to such a major part of my life. Childcare is that. For them to give me the opportunity to actually lend my voice to it, I really felt honored, to be honest with you. And so yeah, I mean, they believed I had something to say and that my voice was valuable. And so I started to believe it, you know? And so yeah, thank you too.
Yeah. We had to butter her up with a little local cuisine to really reinforce that. Well, any additional questions that came to mind? I think we have one over here.
Hi, and thank you so much for sharing your stories today. It's so powerful, and just thank you for the time and your honesty and courage and everything that you're sharing. I'm curious about your search process. So when you were looking for childcare, where did you go? What information was helpful? What wasn't so helpful? Anything that you could share that could help us be better in assisting families with the search?
For when we first got childcare or now?
Either, yeah.
Well, it's two different now. I mean, from then and now, it's different. Because when I first was looking for childcare, I just rode the metro and I saw a daycare, and that's where they went for a week. And then I couldn't afford it, so they went to the next daycare down the street until I found Operation Breakthrough. And when I first got to Operation Breakthrough, they were not social media. Now, social media is crazy, so you can just go to operationbreakthrough.com and call and then submit some things. But when I was looking for childcare, just rode the metro. And if it was a facility, I enrolled them. And when I couldn't pay, I went to the next one.
Can you hear me? I searched the internet. Google's your friend. And like I said, I don't know if I said it, my girls went to 4 different child cares. And I went before, I think I had a list. I'm a note taker. So I literally had a list of all the Northland daycares and all the inner city daycares close to the courthouse where I work. And I've had to go in there and I surprised them. And then I also went in there and scheduled an appointment as well, so that I can find out what would be best fit for my kids. And that's how I found the daycare that I enjoyed. And when you spread the word that there's a daycare that teaches that everybody speaks Spanish, you go there.
Tara.
As I mentioned earlier, we originally had a daycare plan because I worked at a community center that had a preschool. But once we figured out that that wasn't going to work, I went to social media and I announced on Facebook how our plan was derailed. And I reached out to friends and family who, it's funny how you don't realize everything you need is right in front of you until you kind of put it out there. I put on Facebook that we didn't know what we were going to do, and turns out that a guy that we grew up with in college was a preschool teacher at a therapeutic preschool who still kept in touch with one of my best friends, and he she shared my post, and he reached out to her, and we were looking for something very specific that we didn't even know we were looking for, and they were offering what we were looking for. So it was word of mouth, and then from there, once he said something on our Facebook post about the preschool, then several other people in the community and friends and families, and they chimed in and all said what a great place it was. And so we looked to our community to help us make that decision.
I think a lot of these points are great, and I think when you're in the process of searching, I think we all run across those points. But I think advertisement, we actually saw a little like banner that says our childcare is open and they're taking so many slots, and that's when we did the research. But that was one of the 3 that we did explore, and you know, I think first impressions is important. I really like Priscilla's idea of saying just stopping by and surprising them. That's when you know, really catch them at their moment of like, what do they do during the day, or how is their place, or who is there, and how are the children. So I think that's great. But I think advertisement, social media, and yeah, we Google too, and a lot of word of mouth. We actually have 2 people that works with my fiance that has their children there. So that was like a connection that we made instantly, and yeah.
Sasha had one more thing, and then we'd like to take one more question, so be thinking about that. Okay, Sasha has something to add.
The last thing that just came to my mind is when I did get accepted to Operation Breakthrough, my walkthrough was with the CEO, my family advocate, the CEO, Susan, Katie, and Shauna Love, which was a parent. And she loves the center, but she also kept it straight 100. It's not always good here. So during my walkthrough, she shared good and bad stories about the center. And it was my choice to still put my kids there or not. So it was like, it wasn't one of those cookie cutter experiences. It was like, hey, this is what we do. These things may or have happened in the past, and I heard it from another parent, so I believed her. Where the CEO and the family advocate, they're gonna try to sell me whatever. So maybe that is a good suggestion, putting a parent that you guys know is going to also promote your center, but also tell the truth in those walkthroughs.
And just to add really quick as well, that I reached out to my local CCR, NR, is that right? I don't know the acronym.
No, that is true. I didn't.
I really did.
I don't know if you saw me whisper to her. I was just saying. I was honestly saying like, you know what? Let's give the audience a bone. They're all CCR&Rs. I'll let you tell your story too.
Right. No, really, it really was a good experience because I did also Google as well, and I got some information and read over that, did my own search. And through the database that was there on the website, but I also wanted to talk to an individual, talk to someone personally or over the phone. So I called, and they pretty much, you know, I gave them the same information as far as my zip code that I was looking in, license provider, all of the pertinent information that they gave me, and they also emailed me the list as well. But it was just, it was brief. I'd say, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, but the woman that I spoke with, I was a first-time mom as well, but she just really was personable, and not only did she give me the information I was looking for, she also had some suggestions and just some ideas, which actually made me think about, just gave me some additional information that I really wasn't looking for, but ended up being something that I did need to consider. So I just found that really valuable, and they did also have a checklist of what you need to look for when you do go to do the tour, which was also very helpful, which I did take with me. So yeah.
Right.
I forgot to, yes, I'm glad you reminded me to mention that.
All right, so I think we have one more question in the back.
Yeah. Thank you, ladies, all so much for sharing your stories. And I'm not known for being brief, but I'm going to try. And actually, Sheena, you kind of teed this up really well because we are an audience of CCR&Rs, whether it be local, state, or at the national level with military families at Child Care Aware of America. And I'm thinking inclusion and children with special needs and disabilities come up a lot. So Tara, if maybe you could lead this question off. Sheena mentioned that sometimes talking to somebody at an R&R can help you answer questions you didn't even know that you had. So can you think through and maybe talk about some of the questions that you had your second time around when you were looking specifically for care for your child who has a disability or a special need? What are those things that R&Rs should have in their back pocket to share with families that might not have been through it round one, but know that they have a child with a disability, so we can tell them the things they might not know that they need to know?
I appreciate you thinking about our community. I think that not every center can be like Ability KC, where they have as many therapists on staff as they have preschool teachers. However, every center and facility can help to connect those resources in the community. And so I think it's equally as important into the world today. 1 in 69 children, maybe less, have autism, just for an example. Down syndrome is no longer considered a rare disease, and neither is cerebral palsy. So those are just typical children nowadays. Rare diseases are something that affect 1 in 20,000 or 1 in 200,000 people. And so there's not going to be an organization for every child that has a special need. However, there are resources that do help to support that. The Family Conservancy is connected with Head Start, and 10% of Head Start's population has to have children with disabilities so they can meet their quotas of enrollment. So connecting them with a Head Start program is great. It helps them find funding, and then the family can then invest their personal finances into therapy programs. Autism support groups are everywhere, and organizations like Autism Speaks would love to partner with more child care facilities. Now, I'm not a representative for them. I'm just assuming that they would probably. That they would love to partner with more child care facilities because they don't have child care facilities, and you can't necessarily have all those staff on campus, but together you can help try to meet those needs of those families. And then supporting families. Like I said, the mom of the child who does outpatient, she has quit her job to start support groups for families with autism, both for the parents and the children. And our preschool Ability KC is helping her do that. They're offering her a platform by working with our families. We offer suggestions to her on ways that she can do that, helping her find locations in the community to offer those support groups. So I think it's valuable for you to already have those resource connections, but it's also valuable to listen to the parents' voices and desires and what they need, and if they're willing to be that person, to try to find out how your center or site might be able to help support them.
Great. All right. So it's late in the day. I believe Lynette's got some wrap-ups, but I would actually like to, if you have any energy left. I have 2 asks. I have 2 asks today. So one, you have had the opportunity to hear some really inspiring stuff. So I would ask that you leave this session today and really think about ways that we as a child care community can continue to capture family voices and really apply it to the work that we do. Really lean into the messages that they share and try to make sure that that's reflected throughout everything that we do. And that's something that our department and so many departments within Child Care Aware of America can also help you with. So I would ask that you reach out to Child Care Aware of America and let us help kind of strengthen and partner together to find really great ways to continue to raise voices of families, just like our wonderful panel. So that's my first ask. And my second ask is that you would join me in telling them thank you for joining us today and give them a final round of applause.
You all can hang out with me. Just stay on the stage. Does that sound okay, Sheena? Fantastic. Wow, right? What a great way to end our day today. So appreciate your time. So now you all get to just hear my reflections for the day, sitting on stage. A few things that I had reflections about. From the course of the day, and I'm just going to sum up a few, but I have to say one of the most powerful statements that was made today was actually made at the end of the day, which I just think was just, Sheena, I'm going to use this, and I hope that I can take this quote with me. They believed I had something to say, so I started to believe it. And I think that is so incredibly powerful. So thank you for that gift, truly. Because we have so much to say as parents. And, you all really just, I think, topped off for us at the end of the day why we do the work that we do. So thank you for that. I mentioned yesterday for staff, you have to ask the question why.